Hey everybody, Harry Brailsford, SMB Nation. I'm at the IBM Think Conference in San Francisco. It's basically mid-February. I thought I got away from the Seattle snow and rain, only to come here and have some rain. But yep. I am with well-known activist, for lack of a better word, Frank Ohlhorst from our industry. Sir, how you doing?
I am doing well, Harry, and thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I think we got some very interesting things to talk about that were presented at the show here that can mean a lot to what folks are trying to accomplish out there in the world of IT.
Yep. Now, before we do that, for those of us that don't know Frank Ohlhorst, your claim to fame was back at CRN and the test lab. So introduce yourself to the audience, if you don't mind.
Well, for those who don't know who I am or don't remember, that's fine, because I wouldn't remember me either. But what it really comes down to is that I was over at CRN for a number of years. I was the director of the test center. I was
back in the
day, the director of the test center. I developed testing methodologies for enterprise technology and ran a staff of editors. And from there, I went over to Ziff Davis, where I worked on Channel Insider. I ran eWeek Labs for a while. I was an executive editor over at eWeek, and I've been a freelancer. I've written books on big data. I've contributed to some of Harry's books as well on Small Business Server and Windows products, and I've kind of stayed involved as a freelancer and a consultant. And I'm here at IBM Think to cover this from the point of view of Informa's publications, Channel Partners Online, and Channel Futures, as well as IT Pro and a few other publications, including eWeek. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Back to Harry.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you you're media friendly, you're media trained. So, sir, what were the top 3 things that stand out in your mind from Think for our audience, right? What's relevant?
Well, when you dig through all the noise that's here, I mean, you're here at a huge event, 25,000 visitors, we'll call them.
It's a big show.
Yeah, it's a very big show. And of course, you've got the continuous talking heads and press releases and all that, but there are certain things that stand
out.
They're
right behind the camera, Frank.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I gotta be careful. I don't want to get, blue rocks thrown at me. But, one of the first things that's very interesting is this security push.
Absolutely.
This ideology of creating a unified platform that brings security beyond the edge of the network and enables managed service providers to become managed security service providers. All those letters out there. So, where in today's market, you have folks that are MSPs transitioning into security services have to hobble together a bunch of different tools to work under their ITSM system, or they have to partner with all different companies, and they have to, we'll use this firewall vendor, we use this endpoint protection vendor, we use this anti-spyware vendor. It gets to be a lot to manage, and it diminishes the return that you get from it. It also winds up being ineffective. What IBM is doing is they're unifying their security stature into a platform approach to make this a single pane of glass view, deploy anywhere, self-branded things to take all the worry off of the MSSP and reduce the liability of the MSSP. And using that IBM name as kind of that selling point. That's one of the first things that I would mention there. Number 2 is, of course, you can't say the 3 letters IBM without thinking the word Watson or the name Watson.
Love Watson.
Watson is, has become a well-known brand. It's a platform for AI, and IBM is trying to pull that further into the future, and they're starting to offer solutions that they're calling Watson everywhere, which really brings Watson to the edge of the network.
Yeah.
Which means that you could start using Watson more effectively against your own data stores, your own data lakes, to be able to perform industry-specific natural language processing.
Yep.
And also to use Watson as a tool to enable folks in business. For example, on the sales side, Watson becomes, let's call it, an eavesdropper in that sales conversation, listening to, the two-way communications between a potential customer and, a sales agent. And in real time is processing information to help that sales agent be more effective, whether it is recommending particular literature to send over to the potential customer, or particular buzzwords or keywords to say, or something industry specific. So, that's just one use case. Another use case is
go ahead. And I have an example, but go ahead.
Okay, introducing Watson into the supply chain.
Yeah.
When it comes to supply chain management, using Watson as a machine learning platform to look at how the product chain moves through a business, including shipping, manufacturing, and all that, to come up with better and more efficient ways to handle the supply chain. So those are the two big things, and I'll let Harry ask this question.
Yeah, it's not so much a question, but it's more, let's see if we can do this on film, but I want to play a little joke with you because it ties into Watson everywhere. So there was a keynote speaker yesterday. Yes. Here's the clue. Mike, what day is it?
Yeah.
What day is it? Yeah. And if you can see that, folks, it is literally Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hump Day, the camel ad that won the Super Bowl contest. But on a serious note, what they were talking about is what you were alluding to, is how can we pepper the communication interface interchange between a Geico agent, whether it's claims or sales or whatever. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm simplifying it down to the camel ad.
Okay.
Okay, so point number 3.
Point number 3 comes to, all this talk around blockchain.
Yeah. Come on in here a little closer.
We're seeing we're seeing success out there with blockchain, well beyond, the financial token aspect.
And the illicit drug market.
Yeah, and the digital money. Take, for example, Walmart. Walmart has instituted a blockchain to manage produce. This way that they can identify where shipments come from, how they've traveled through the supply chain. They have an incorruptible ledger of what has happened with that particular produce. Something important in the produce market, if you look back at the experience that Chipotle had with the bad lettuce, which turned out not to be bad lettuce, but it was a shipment of guacamole that spoiled on a refrigerator truck that got distributed. So if they had a blockchain process, they would have been able to know very quickly where that spoilage came from, as opposed to taking a year to finally figure it out. Now, what IBM is doing is they're working, especially in the European banking market, in enabling blockchain and helping to set up these quote-unquote private blockchains, where there's control over the blockchain, yet the data put into the blockchain, the transactions, are uncorruptible from a forensic standpoint. So the idea is that they can ascertain the full history of an asset that's moved through the blockchain. So blockchain is growing all over the place. It's got some serious challenges, such as like the public blockchain. If you look at where Bitcoin is, when it first started off, it took a matter of seconds for a financial transaction to go through Bitcoin. Now it can take up to 45 minutes because of how large the blockchain has become and how large the network has become. So containing it into members as opposed to being the public is going to be one of the keys of making blockchain successful. But that is probably the third thing that they brought forth here, that blockchain is a methodology strategy to ensure trust in transactions, make them fully auditable, and really provide provenance around any element that's put through a blockchain.
No, that's a good way to put it.
So,
Let me tell you what. Let me summarize that, and then we'll call it good, so we can both get back to the good stuff here. But I look at it this way. Take your conversation. Payrolls every 2 weeks for MSPs watching this video at SMB Nation. Security can meet payroll today. I would offer, and as you know, and they know, I put some time in analytics, so let's round that up to Watson and AI. We're just going to put a big wrapper around that whole field. Probably tomorrow's payroll, not today, right? Still, I've been there, guys. Still trying to figure out how to become the next analytics billionaire or the first analytics billionaire. And then with blockchain, probably a couple payrolls down the pike for our guys, right? Really interesting. Get in early. But, payroll's due on the 15th. That's in 2 days, brother. Not sure blockchain's going to meet payroll on the 15th, is practical.
No, it's not going to meet a blockchain, practical on the 15th. But you have organizations like IBM launching these ideologies of blockchain as a service.
Yeah.
And the idea is that, if you're a service provider and you're dealing with a vertical market that needs to establish, provenance in their supply chain, right, guess what? You can become one of these blockchain as a service providers and get them set up with blockchain to meet that. Now, when we look at blockchain, there's some other things that blockchain helps solve. When it comes to, that incorruptible ledger of data, think about how well that supports the whole compliance initiative that's going on out there. This legislative compliance that is telling companies that you have to do A, B, C, and D, and you have to be able to prove it, and it has to be auditable.
Yep.
Blockchain may very well be the potion that solves that problem.
Yeah, no, those that of us invest forward and risk forward, we're hopefully rewarded. Well, I'll make that the final word from SMB Nation. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.